What's up, Broncos country? Welcome back inside the UC Health Training Center for another episode of Broncos Now. Team reporter and host Sydney Jones here. And coming up on today's episode, the Broncos selected guard Dalton Risner to be their candidate for the 2022 Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year. Plus, CBS 4's Romi Bean joins the show to give her insight surrounding the team. All that and more coming up. It's the Players' Day off here at the UC Health Training Center, so there was no practice or media press conferences today. But the team announced this morning that guard Dalton Risner was selected as this year's nominee for the Walter Payton Man of the Year Award. The Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year Award recognizes a player for his outstanding leadership both on the field and in the community. Dalton Risner has been selected due to his work as an athlete ambassador for A Precious Child, a nonprofit that provides children in need with opportunities and resources to empower them to achieve their full potential. He was also selected due to his foundation work, the Risner Up Foundation, the team's community outreach opportunities, and more. And for today's guest on Broncos Now, CBS 4's sports reporter and anchor Romi Bean joins me here inside the Broncos podcast studio to give her thoughts surrounding the team. Romi, so appreciate you joining me here. Thanks so much for being on the show today.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I've wanted to be on all year. I finally got my call up.
Yes, of course. I'm so happy to have you on. It's always a pleasure and always so fun chatting with you.
It's always just so good seeing you in the locker room, no matter what's going on.
It's true. Well, Romi, as you know, it's been a kind of a tough season here for the Broncos. You know, team sits at 3-9 heading into week 14. Kind of hard to believe it's already week 14 of the season. How's the season been going for you so far?
I mean, I think it's the same thing as everybody. You keep going back to the beginning of the season. What makes the season so tough is there were such high expectations. It's the sixth straight losing season, but it feels more painful, I think, for Broncos fans and for players, for everyone, for guys who have been here for a while, because the expectations were so different. This is the first season really since post Super Bowl 50 that they've gone in with such high expectations.
People were excited.
So excited. Yeah. And that's what makes everything so much tougher. And the offensive ineptitude and the struggles on offense, put it better that way.
Yeah.
That's what makes it all the more stunning, because you finally got that pieces. Because for years, everyone's been saying the Broncos are a quarterback and a coach away. They got the quarterback, they got the coach, and nothing is working. And yet what is still the strong suit of this team is the defense. All these things that you didn't expect to be talking about week after week. That's what makes it just really stunning.
Yeah. And I think what's been so hard week after week is these really, really close games the Broncos have been in where, they have a lead going into, the second half, the third quarter, and aren't able to finish these games. Why do you think they haven't been able to finish these games? And I know, on Sunday versus the Ravens, the defense, a lot of guys on defense, Justin Simmons, Deshaun Williams, they talked in the locker room after the game and said that this one was on them. They felt really, really bad about that game-winning touchdown the Ravens scored on their final drive, but both Coach Hacken and Russell agreed after the game that it's not on the defense. This offense just needs to score more points.
I mean, I think every week you just love this defense a little bit more because they put everything on their shoulders, including the blame. Mm-hmm. And I am of the opinion that I just can't subscribe to that. I understand you can pull out the stats. They've given up points in the last 5 minutes in 8 games or this, that, or the other or whatnot. I mean, they held the Ravens to 10 points. How many teams are they holding? Third in the league now in points allowed. This defense has done everything, and they have gone above and beyond. But it shows the humility. It shows the pride of that group that they continue to take the blame. They continue to not pin it on anybody. It's really incredible how much the locker room has stayed together, and I give so much credit to that unit. But I just can't put anything on the defense. There are some people that say, no, they're not clutch in the clutch moments. But I don't think it's at that point. I mean, I think their back is just broken, and they're trying. And I think they understand that things are not clicking on the offense, and it's not for a lack of effort. And Justin Simmons said that it's the offense. It's not that the offense is not trying.
Right.
Injuries are a factor. I know we can't use injuries as an excuse, and that's such a narrow, a delicate line to play. But it is true, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's a fact.
You look at it with the offensive line, with the receivers, with the running, every single position, they are absolutely depleted. But at the same time, as Justin Simmons always says, nobody feels sorry for you. You can't make those excuses. I think the frustrating thing is, and I'm sure for the defense and for the offense, is that like we said, the offense, it's not that they're not trying. They're trying something different every week. I really like how they came out in the Baltimore game, trying different things. Russ under center, heavy personnel. Loved it. I loved what I was seeing. But nothing is working. And I think part of that is that the Broncos are in a place right now where they're playing to not lose. They're not playing to win. And there are things where we saw it at the beginning when I feel like the game of football is a chess match. You got to run the same play over and over and over again. And then you run that trick play where Jerry Jeudy gets 40 yards because now they think you're going to run it again.
Yeah.
But the inability to stick with that because nothing's going right is just a little bit of the identity of this offense right now. So it's it's frustrating for them. It's frustrating for the defense. But I give everybody credit for sticking together despite, it just being it's like head against the wall over and over and over again.
It's funny because at the beginning of the season, we talked for weeks and weeks about when's this offense going to click.
Right.
And I think, now more recently, it's rather than when's this offense going to click, it's more along the lines of like, okay, what can they do each week? What can they focus on each week to take, just a little step here and there and focus on specific things. And, I think it's been super frustrating. Well, Coach Hackett said on Monday following the game, the most frustrating part about this offense consistently is just their issues on third down. And we talk week in and week out about, how they can fix that. And it's tough because it's not like they're in these third and long situations where they can fix what they're doing on first and second down.
Right.
We saw that in the game this week. They're in these third and short, third and manageable situations that should be, easy to get that first down. Right. Why do you think maybe they aren't able to fix their issues on third down when it's consistently a point of emphasis every single week?
I wish I had the answer for that. It is stunning, and I think what's really stunning about it is that there is no progress being made. And they've made changes, like you have Clint Kubiak come in as the play caller now. They're making changes. They're doing different things, putting Russ under center a little bit more, trying different things, and yet nothing is working, and even if it works for a little bit, they're not able to carry it over. I think my biggest concern is when you look at it without fail, the third quarter, for example. We keep joking, what's happening at halftime? Are we eating fruit snacks and Capri Sun? I know they're not, but I am. I need some, right? Yeah. I'm getting the hot dogs and the pretzel.
I know.
But the fact that part, it's things like that. You're coming out and the third quarter is the same. I mean, they can't score a touchdown. You've done it, once or twice in the third quarter all season. And so those little lacks and little signs of zero progress is what I think it's so hard right now for this offense to build any sort of momentum because the minute one thing goes wrong, as they say in sports and in anything, you only get confidence by doing it. You only get confidence by winning. And this team now this far into the season, 12 games in, has no confidence in what they can do in that ability to get that third down and the ability to make that crucial touchdown when they need it because they haven't done it. And it's to a point now where
that's a great point.
It's hard to believe that you can do it now because you don't have that confidence because you haven't done it all year.
Yeah. And Russell Wilson even said that, I think it was either this week or the week before, winning is a habit, but losing can also be a habit too, which I think they're kind of down that rabbit hole at this point.
I think they are, and I think that's a huge point, Sid, is that this team, we've always talked about the winning culture of the Denver Broncos. That hasn't existed. That's not just this year, right? This is going back 6 years now. That's a better part of a decade, really, when you look at it like that, and you have to learn how to win. And I've asked a lot of guys this, and it's one of those almost intangible things that you can't quite place your finger on. How do you learn how to win? I asked George Payton when we were in London, how do you learn not to lose games? And, he kind of had a broad spectrum answer as well, because it's almost goes back to that confidence thing. Until you can start doing it, you can't really learn how to do it, right? And so at this point, most of the guys who have been in the locker room have only experienced these kind of seasons. And they're all elite, the best upper echelon 1% of athletes in the world. There's no doubt about the talent. That's not a thing. But everybody in the NFL is that talented. I always take issue when people say, oh, this person stinks, this person stinks. Oh, really? Because they have more talent.
I like to see you do that.
Right. In their right pinky that all of us do. Right. And so it's not a talent issue, but it is a culture. You look at it, the Ravens are the perfect example. Part of it's really good coaching, and they just have this tradition every single year. Even if they're injured, even if they don't have all the right pieces, they find a way to compete, and that you build that culture. And I think the Broncos have to find a way to build that culture. What that answer is, I wish I had that answer. I don't know, because they're trying. They're trying different coaches, trying different players, right? And so they haven't found the formula. And so it's almost like you can't quite put your finger on it, what that is. But, and they've brought in guys that have won before, DJ Jones. There are guys in that locker room that have experienced winning. Right. Russell Wilson, let's be honest, right? So it's almost just very puzzling that they are who they are right now. But I do think part of it is embracing who you are, right? Realizing that sadly playoffs are out the window. Sadly, a winning season is out the window. So it's embracing what you are right now and just trying to fix and work on the little things that you can work on and making it more micro. And maybe that helps this team as opposed to the big macro picture of being the Broncos brand and all of those things, right? And just coming together. And it's them against the world and playing for what you have on the table this week. And what's on the table this week? Beating Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Broncos have never beat Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah. What are we on, 13?
Crazy, 13 straight?
Yeah.
So there's always a reason to play for, And it goes back to, I give these guys credit. They come out every week, they play, they put their pride on the line. So it's finding what it is to play for this week. I think we're at that point in the season, and that's how you have to go about it.
Yeah, I agree, Romi. Well, want to look at some of the positives from Sunday's game, specifically this defense, the pass rush specifically. I know heading into Sunday's game, I believe we had only recorded 2 sacks in the previous 3 games, but then, this pass rush came out, had 4 on Sunday versus the Ravens, 2 from Deshaun Williams, not only his first sack of the season, but a 2-sack game from him. What did you really like about that unit's performance on Sunday, and how do you want to see them build off of that?
What I loved is I feel like they finally figured out who they are post Bradley Chubb.
Yep.
And that was a natural transition to figure that out, run defense as well. I think one thing that Bradley Chubb did really well that maybe we didn't talk about as much was his run defense. He was huge in that as well. And so adapting to that. And when you really look at it in the big picture, it didn't take them very long to figure out how to live without Bradley Chubb. And I've been so impressed. I guess I shouldn't be surprised again with this defense at their ability to adapt at what Coach Avero does every single week. But they have figured out now how to live without Bradley Chubb and how to thrive again. And let's give some props right now, to Josey Jewell and Alex Singleton.
That was my next
17 tackles each.
Shout out to them.
My goodness.
They've had a heck of a season, both of them.
Right? And you got to say, let's be honest. Going into this season, everyone was like, I don't know about that linebacker core. Their inside linebackers kind of felt like people were upset that we didn't draft the Broncos. Didn't draft a linebacker. And
I say we
boy, have they stepped up. My goodness. So much credit to both of them.
They're 2 peas in a pod too. They're just cut from the same cloth.
And so humble. You try, what's so crazy too? You go afterwards, after the game, you're trying to talk to them and boost them up and get them to talk about their individual performance, and they don't want to hear it. It's about the team. We didn't win, so it doesn't matter. But man, they have been such big contributors. And the whole pass rush as a whole, being able to work without Randy Gregory. That was supposed to be such a big piece this year, and find a way to get to the Ravens 4 times. And guys like Deshaun Williams stepping up. I mean, I just love it with this defense. There's never a lack of try, never a lack of effort. And they continue to, when you think, oh, Bradley Chubb's gone. Nope, a couple weeks later, and here they are thriving. And you got to give them so much props. It's awesome to see.
They're fun to watch too. Well, Romi, last one here for you.
No,
I know.
Not done.
Stay on forever. I know we talked a little bit earlier, the Broncos have lost 13 straight to the Chiefs, and, they welcome them into town this weekend, back at home, finally. 2 games on the road was a little bit too much. Nice to be back at home. What's kind of the mindset, you think, for this team at this point in the season when, they're really just playing for their pride and, for the brotherhood?
I think that's exactly what it is. You're playing for each other. You're playing for the guy to the left of you, to the right of you. And let's be honest, you're playing for your job. Yeah. Let's be honest. Nobody knows what ownership is going to do this offseason. They've used this season to survey what's going on. I'm sure they've got all of their notes, and everybody knows they're going to come in and who knows, maybe make changes, maybe not. But all these guys know you're playing for that tape because not only are they looking, but 31 other owners and GMs are looking as well. So there's that going on too. You're playing for pride. You're playing for your job. You're playing for each other. And like I said, it's getting up each week and finding something to play for. And if beating Patrick Mahomes is not something to play for, then I don't know what is. Because listen, playoffs aren't on the line, but if you can say at least, man, we came out, we beat Mahomes,
right.
we ended that
13-game
drought.
Gosh.
Patrick Mahomes, by the way, 14-0 against AFC West opponents on the road. That's unbelievable.
That's incredible.
But if you can be the ones to spoil that, I mean, that's stuff to really, really take pride in, right? You know?
Absolutely.
And I will say, I talked to Justin Simmons a few weeks ago and asked him, honestly, man, how do guys not just come in and collect their paychecks at this point? And he almost wasn't mad at me, but was almost mad at the thought
of it.
That would even be a thing. And he said, no, that's completely unacceptable. Right. And nobody in this locker room is going to do that. And I believe him. You know what I mean? Because he's one of the leaders of this locker room and he sets that precedent. Now we're not doing that. So I think they're still going to come out and play their hearts out. And really, it's all you can ask.
Absolutely. Yep. Well, we'll see what happens this Sunday. Romi, I love having you on.
Oh my gosh.
Thanks so much for joining me.
Day made. Thanks for having me.
My day is made. Thank you for joining me. And thanks so much for your insight on the team.
Hey. Thanks for having me.
Well, that'll do it for today's episode of Broncos Now. Broncos Country, thanks so much for tuning in today and every day. The team will be back at practice tomorrow, so make sure to meet me right back here on the Broncos Podcast Network and YouTube for another episode. I'll see you all then.